No one wants to take a risk to start something new. They want to play it safe.
Coachella Fest put us on the map, and you've heard the mantra over and over, like, okay, we have Coachella, but then there's nothing for the rest of the year.
It's still there, even though it's changing and we're starting to see the change. We still have to keep going and keep showing up. And this is not the same place, it's the same community, but now let's celebrate it. Let's all join together and create something better.
A musician in the Coachella Valley should be able to say, I want to start playing and making money with my skill. They should see a ladder straight from 10 to 25 person coffee room up to a 50 person room, out to a 150 to 200 person room, and that ladder should creep. We have an arena, we've got a 10,000 seat arena, so the artist should see a real clear path to, I've got 10 venues that have 10 seats, I've got 10 venues that have 25, 50, 100, 200, all the way up to, I can make money off of this.
First, thank everybody that showed up. I want to thank every single person that's here in attendance today. So shout out to you guys. What's up, playing good? And I'm joined here by Avenida Music and Marcel from Gabino, Creperie. My name is Angel, for those that don't know. Thank you guys for the opportunity to host this podcast here. It's actually my first time doing a podcast on the stage with an audience, so it's kind of cool. Actually, for those that don't know a little bit about the shop, Little Street Music Hall, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves, where you guys from, how did this idea come to be, and we're here at Listening Cool Event. So,
I'm Josiah Gonzalez. This is my brother Vince. I'll let him give a quick intro. We both grew up, we're brothers. We grew up right up at Jackson, right across from the fire department. We've been in Indio for our entire lives. Our other brother's on the board over in the back, and he's one of the other owners, along with our good friend Sean, who's running the POS and the coffee in the back. So if you want some coffee, you go see him. But we all grew up here locally. We started a band back in 2014. We grew up playing music in church, did a lot of gospel stuff growing up, decided to do some garage rock, the thing that everybody wants to do. You just want to play loud in the garage. Started getting a couple of gigs here and there. A place called Schmitty's over in Palm Desert hired us, and you start running the circuit and meeting other musicians. And in 2018, we decided to take this seriously. Let's try to make some money off of it. And that led us to this in a roundabout way. But our goal is to really help develop the music community here in the Coachella Valley. We love the music community, but we also feel like for the size of valley that we are, we don't have the resources that are necessary to really develop a strong music infrastructure. And that starts with music venues. So that was the biggest thing that we identified. That was a need here in the Coachella Valley. And so we're like, I think we can make this happen. So I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit. But that's the long and short. I don't know if Vince wants to add anything to that.
Not a whole lot. I guess I would just say, this venue and this space is definitely a very new idea for us. When we first started the band in 2014, we never imagined something like this. So this was not like a goal from the beginning. It was something that developed. And so with that being said, we've been doing business for going on about 2 months now. And, a lot of it is new for us as a company, but it's been good. It's been a good experience. And we're really excited about being here in the city where we grew up, like Josiah was saying, and just seeing all of the change since when we moved here in 2001 and where Indio's at now and, where it's looking to go. And it's a good feeling. So we just, really appreciate being able to do this here in this city.
Marcel, and I was actually born here at Indio, raised in Palm Springs, but that birth certificate definitely said JFK. Spent a lot of time downtown Indio as a kid. My mom managed the Angel View down here, and so whenever I wanted to play hooky and not go to school, I would, go back and hang out in the back area where they receive all the donations, all the good stuff, all the good stuff. I remember walking this downtown area as a kid and, go to the Taco Jalisco right there and Yellow Mart, of course. So this little downtown definitely has something special in my heart. So yeah, born and raised out here.
you already have an established business in Palm Springs, right? And then you're looking to come here to downtown Indio, soon opening up, bringing business to downtown, because this is what we need. We need more business in downtown so people could walk around, people could have music and food and be like the old days. Like you see all these old pictures of downtown being like a booming town. So what's the Creperie?
So yeah, I mean, it's started as a cart. You know, was living in San Francisco with my wife, and we fell in love with this small little creperie in South San Francisco. It was like 200 square foot, and as a kid, born and raised in a South American home, my father from Argentina, he'd make us panqueques, and I never even knew what I thought a panqueque was just an Argentinian thing, and little did I know it was a crepe, and so we were living in South San Francisco, and I saw this cute, really cool, hip 200 square foot spot, and I told my wife, I'm like, man, I love this. It's so cool how such a small space could be utilized, but I feel like there's something missing in the crepe, like the crepe is just, it's bland, it's flavorless, and so we came back to the desert and we just started hustling, and I bought a little taco cart, I built out this little two crepe stone cart, and we started doing little events and pop-ups and whatnot, and then that formed into us getting our first brick and mortar in South Palm Springs in a back alleyway. It was a studio apartment. Did 80% of the work myself, cut the floors, did all the big things, and we have a little window in a back alley with no storefront sign, no nothing, and it just grew to this, it just took off.
And how long was the process from when you first started with that shop into actually open? And now you're going through the same process again. So I want to talk to you about going from scratch.
So it was about a year and a half of pushing the cart, and then once I signed the lease, then it took about another year to build it out, and so yeah, it's about a year and a half, 2 years until we got the first brick and mortar. Yeah.
And then like the remodeling, both of you guys, there's a question for both of you guys was it what you expected when you first got this building? Was it like, oh, it's going to be 2 months, we're going to come in, do the floor, do some checkups, or was it a little harder, especially working with an old building? Because, we're talking about these buildings that have been around for a long time. So how was the process of remodeling a new building as a new business owner?
Yeah, I checked Instagram before we got up here because I wanted to make sure of the date. And so we got the keys in April of 2022 for this location. And our estimation, after walking through, we had been working with the city since more or less January of 2022. We were kind of coming out of COVID. That's why the previous little studio that we had was kind of not in operation. And so we were already 3 months in, and we were like, I think we can do this in 6 months. If we get some delays, we'll probably do it in about 9 months. And we opened October 1st of this year, so it was 18 months. And I mean, Vince kind of led point and was, all the remodeling and refurbishing, so I'll let him talk to just old buildings and what that experience was.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, I don't want to say a shock, but just an eye-opener to get in here and take a look around, and you kind of think like, hey, something was here before, so we should be fine. We'd take down a few walls or, put up a few walls, and we should be good. And then you start doing the work, and especially when you're dealing with things like the infrastructure, the plumbing, the electrical, and you realize, oh, shoot, like, no, we're not all right. We got a lot of work to do, and there's, maybe stuff that was done by a previous owner that was not done right or whatever, have you. And so you're looking at redoing electrical and upgrading electrical or oh man, the plumbing is shot, and that wasn't an expense we foresaw. And so yeah, you have a lot of these expenses that maybe you didn't plan for with an older building that kind of hit you. And I guess it does kind of remind me of like those those remodeling shows with houses, where they'll be like, oh, I love this home. It's got, like flavor to it, and it's got, some age under its belt, and so it's got that, old school feel or whatever. But then the contractor's like, this is the price, because they know it. When you have the experience, and we didn't have the experience. So
Did you guys have any you didn't know construction experience before starting this? Because you guys did most of the work here, right? Like physically,
we did.
You guys did like,
Yeah, we did a lot of the work. We did have a family member of our business partner Sean, one of his uncles, did a lot of general contracting work for many years, and he's still in the industry. But he offered to help us out because, once we saw the scope of the project, we knew, hey, we need some direction. We need some guidance at least.
And we need a license.
Yeah, we can be the labor, but, we need some help with it. So he was a great help to us, just really generous with, his knowledge and his time. But yeah, it was a lot of work. Everything from, redoing some of the concrete and pulling ceilings down and clearing attic spaces and building out that coffee bar.
How was the demo? How was this building before?
So this building, when we first walked in, I don't know if for anybody who used to drive by, there were like big barricades or barriers that they had put up prior. So from my understanding, the city bought the building back in 2018, and so it hadn't been in use for quite a while. So they basically had established some like barriers so that people couldn't see in, but it looked similar to like what a empty CVS might look like. So you've got popcorn ceilings, you've got the really nasty lighting up top, and it was really open, so that was nice. There was nothing like, there were no walls to tear down, but the demo was, the building was built in 1964, and so you still have issues with having to test before you can touch anything, asbestos. Or we got to run kits and like scrape everything, and you're scraping the popcorn, you're scraping the floors, and you're testing the drywall. So you're just testing everything, and you're sitting on it for a week and waiting for the lab to come back with your results. And
I was going to say that was something that was, brand new to me. I did a little bit of, when I was 19, 20 years old, I did a little bit of tile and a little bit of insulation, freelance. But doing stuff like testing materials, sending it to a lab to make sure that you weren't going to, get, mesothelioma or whatever it's called. That was new to me. I was like, oh, there's something you should do, and you want to make sure people are safe. And so, yeah, it was a crazy experience, man.
Yeah.
And for you went from the small shop you said in Palm Springs, and you got the corner spot right here. So it used to be the Indio Food Park.
Exactly.
So a quick note from there. I used to run my podcast out of the Indio Food Park for about 9 months.
That's right.
So can't wait to go back in there and see what's this. But how was the experience from a small place in Palm Springs to having remodeling the place right here in Indio?
Yeah. No, it's crazy how they were both so different. The experiences were so different. Trying to show the city of Palm Springs a concept out of a window in a back alley was very difficult. It hasn't been done in Palm Springs, so that was a huge challenge. They didn't understand the vision. They didn't understand how it was going to flow, and just so many things that were stopping them from allowing it to happen, right? So that was the hurdle in Palm Springs, there's always hurdles with the contractors and whatnot, but that was what really stopped the process of it moving forward. It was just nonstop. Another
inspection. So you do one progress, then you gotta wait for an inspection. They tell you what you gotta fix, and they come in, and it's
so it was submitting plans and the plans not getting approved because they just didn't understand what was, and there was just like, well, we've never done this before. Well, how is the exit? And there was just so many different things that needed to be done. So that was, getting approved and whatnot in Palm Springs was very difficult. Here it was the opposite. The city was just, honestly, for us, for my experience, my personal experience has been amazing. open arms, just what could we do to help you? How could we give you a resource? Is there a resource that we could, it's been amazing. The problem that we had here was the contractors, getting screwed over, by a contractor, and then hiring another contractor, that contractor getting in an accident and being in a coma for a few months, and now I'm dealing with his architect that isn't, following through with his promises because the relationship wasn't between me and him. It was just, that was my hurdle. That's been my biggest, thing. But we found another great contractor, and we've just been rolling since. But there's always going to be hurdles and things like the food park didn't have a grease interceptor, had no hoods, very short, small ceilings, very closed in. So we wanted to make sure that we were bringing our concept to the room, and we gutted the whole thing and started from scratch.
I don't actually know this part of the story. So I know you said that you had a difficult time in Palm Springs, but who approached who for the city of Indio? Like, was this something that you saw traction in Indio, or did the city approach you and say, like, hey, we have a thing going on here?
Yeah, so crazy story is before I signed the lease in Palm Springs 3 years ago, my brother and I drove downtown Indio, and we peeked in that building, and we were like, oh, I wonder what this is, I think at the time it was Raspados, but it didn't have a storefront name, didn't have hours of operation. I looked it up, tried to, find a number to call on the internet, couldn't find anything, and that was it. It kind of just ended there, and then years go by, and then our friends Everbloom, Ephraim and Matt, they're out here doing things in Indio, and I started to see the community, and how this community shows up. This is a very community, this is different. We in Palm Springs, we really attract tourism. The community is a lot smaller because they're usually in other states and cities, when the good weather is here, and so I really love to see that, what I mean? Growing up, Hispanic community's everything, what I mean? And so it was when I saw that, I saw all this, I was like, I told DJ, I'm like, bro, I have to get downtown, I have to get over here, And so I approached the city pretty quick. Once I heard that building was going to be vacant, I approached them and just kind of showed them our vision and what we want to bring to downtown.
And now, so you guys have been open for 2 months, and when are you gonna be opening soon?
We're about 90% there, so we're on our final push. We're hitting that final turn. So I don't want to say it's just it's so hard, but I will say we are right around the corner. We're getting close.
No, that's good that the city does provide resources, and it's so hard to open your own business. I mean, you guys, it sounds like, oh, you know what, I'm tired of this 9 to 5, I'm gonna start my own side business, but it just, like you said, it could be an entire year before you envision opening, So now that you've been open for 2 months, what has been the process of hosting the shows and doing everything so far that you say, like, oh, it's not going as we expected, it's going better than we expected, or just your overall thoughts?
I'm always surprised that anybody shows up. Like, even tonight, we were talking, we're like, how many chairs did we put out? I was like, maybe like 5 or 6. So, like, the fact that you have anybody who sees, you think that you're just throwing stuff out into the ether on social media sometimes, and you're like, these aren't real people. And then to have, like, real human beings show up and, like, spend money or, like, drive down and use their gas to, like, come to something that you planned, it's a cool feeling. And with regard to the shows, it's hard to explain the concept to people. I think when you talk about vision and you trying to plant a vision with the city and them not understanding, I think we struggled internally to define what we wanted this space to be, and then in turn, we have to like pitch that to the city. So when you're unsure, we're like, well, here's what we're thinking. And so we knew that the city wanted. We did a lot of research. So we knew that the city had a downtown specific plan. They had a vision that we really liked. And they're like, oh, they want music, they want nightlife, but they also wanted foot traffic. And so there was this component, there was a back and forth. We approached them with just the music venue. And they're like, that's not really what we're looking for down here. We need morning foot traffic too. So our drummer, Sean, a business partner over there, him and his brother have been working Starbucks for many years. They've been managing, and they've worked every Starbucks in the Valley at this point. And so we had some connections to local roasters, and so we decided, well, let's mash the two things together. We can have the consistency of just a morning shop, and then we'll throw stuff at night. And so for us, it's really been trying to balance, like, where do you put the emphasis? Is it, really the money driver is coffee in the morning, and it's nice to have these evening events, but we have to build them. You have to build the rapport with the local, with the local talent, with the local promoters, with people who want to show up to shows, and so it takes longer to do that. So I think it's really been a balancing act, and we talk about this every week. Like, okay, how much emphasis do we put on the systems that we're building for the morning and perfecting that so we're optimizing for revenue from the morning? But our goal is we're musicians. We want to play music and we want to throw shows, and like it's not the lucrative part. So we're like, well, we want that to be the thing that we're doing the most, but it's a balancing act of like, yeah, but you have to have this component that's gonna kind of keep you steady. It's gonna keep you. And what's funny is that drives people because, oh, you having a show here tonight? I'll come to that. And then you're like, oh, they kind of work together really well. The coffee promotes for the shows and vice versa. So.
What has been like the response so far in the first 2 months from the local music community here in the Coachella Valley?
It's been very positive, and we really are. We're very grateful for every musician, band, artist that has come through, comedian that has come through so far, and shown support. We have friends in the music community that even though they're not playing that night, they show that sense of community where they come out to support their friend's show or, see a new artist. And we also had a lot of people in the music community tell us like, man, we've been watching you guys for a while. And we had some people be really honest. They're like, when we heard you guys say you were going to open a venue, we're like, oh yeah, sure, and just kind of laugh it off. And they're like, but then you guys did it, and so the response has been very positive. We've had, inquiries from different genres of music and people showing interest, but then apart from that, we have familiar faces in the music community that they come in the morning for the coffee, or they come to hang out, they come do homework, or they work on projects, and it's just really cool to see that. So that's been great. As far as the live music events go, the response has been great. I mean, people that come and perform, it's just so cool to see them also, like, take it seriously in a way, where they kind of see what you're trying to do, and so they support you in that they say, hey, like, we'll make sure that when we come here, we do our part to make sure this place is successful, and that's encouraging, because like you were saying, Marcel, when the community's there and they show that support because they're pushing for your success, you feel like this is where I want to be, so it's been good.
It's a good change with the city that I've noticed over the last few years because the community has always been here, like the community of the city of Indio. I feel like it's always been strong since day one. But I feel like the city never had support of locals or like actually doing something in downtown. Like it's been vacant for 20 plus years that I can remember. This is the first time that we're actually seeing things happening. So there's Return of the Goods and what they're doing over there. You have this, you have your shop opening soon. And I know there's plans to open more shops around here. So I feel like it was just about the perfect time right now to get into that.
So I've been coming to Yellow Mart too for 25 years at this point, and if I had to guess, if I'm being super honest, I think a big part of it was within the last 5 years, because of the failures of not being able to get the downtown back up, there was like a specific plan that said we need these kinds of investors and these kinds of businesses in the downtown, and this is how you drive foot traffic, and this is how you rebuild. And then it just didn't work for so long that they kind of threw the roadmap out, and they said, let's break that. We're just going to start from scratch again. And they started like giving shots to people who wouldn't conventionally have an opportunity for it. They were strategic with it, so they like understood, at least from what I've observed, okay, we kind of want these things and we kind of don't want these things, and this is the general direction that we want to go. But again, I think that the insistence, we talked to Elaine from across the street, she's on city council, and she was like, I want this place young, I want this place loud, and we have to kind of throw out these old notions of like, I don't want the rowdy youngins and, the ruffians kind of around the block. And so it's a good feeling because you can try and you can experiment. We've done some shows where we're like, oh God, man, I hope I hope this isn't like too crazy. We don't know who's gonna show up. And she was just like, oh, I heard it was great last night. And I was like, yeah, it was really good. And so she's just very encouraging, and she tells us, she's like, we're okay with you guys making mistakes. We're okay with you guys kind of figuring it out. And so that, the hitting a brick wall for like 20 years, I think, and saying, you know what, we're going to start from scratch and we're going to try something different. We're going to go local, we're going to go young, we're going to go people who've been invested in the community and have these built-in networks, as opposed to big box store that comes out, builds out, whatever, a CVS or kind of another box store and then leaves and, sells it or manages it through some company. I think that was wise because we've been here since 2018. We were operating like a little spot next door. And there was different leadership at the time. And they told us, no, we don't really want this. And we threw a bunch of ideas at them. And it wasn't until 2021, late 2021, like COVID hit, everything's dead. And then it was like, hey, you guys want to try something different? And so I think there was a lot of failure that had to happen before the realization of like, you know what, we got to do something different here. And so I think that actually helped.
I think, I definitely see the change as well. And I'm happy for everything just because for you, have you been seeing like the second Saturday events that they've been doing and just all this foot traffic? Does that like motivate you to like, I need to be open now because Coachella season is coming. There's gonna be a lot more people, even right now with the winter. And are you talking to the other business owners and seeing how you could like help each other out? Because I think it's just a matter of time before this downtown is booming.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking to everybody and we're excited to get this downtown going, I saw the vision when there was nothing here, like I walked it and honestly, like there was no doubt in my mind that it was gonna take off and I mean, we see it in like big cities, there's areas that are abandoned, that are run down, that don't have no movement, and then you just put in one, thing that just has a spark to it, you know what I mean? And then another business is attracted to that one, and then it just starts attracting this community of businesses that are just like thriving and doing well, And so for us, honestly, seeing Return of the Goods out here and things, that was, like seeing how they're lying out the door on those pop-up days and all that. And now seeing, actual foot traffic down here, is wild, because when we first signed the lease, I didn't see nothing, like you didn't see nobody out here, and
did you get any pushback from people? They're like, nah, don't look at downtown Indio, bro. There's probably a better spot over here.
I mean, still to this day, we get asked like, but why Indio? Everybody's like, why Indio? Like, you could have done Palm Desert, you could have done this, and I'm all about community, I'm all about it, and I see how strong the Indio community is, and so for me, like tourism's great, it's cool, it's great, but you could ask my wife, man, like I know every neighbor by name. I'm all about, hey, if you need something, you knock at my door at 3 a.m., you need sugar, you need eggs, you need this, whatever you need, bro. Like my wife's like, oh my God, chill. Like, take a step back, So that's just who I am. That's how I've always been. And so I'm attracted to that. And I see it here in this community, So yeah, I mean, I'm hyped. I'm ready, I'm ready.
And so for Avenida Music, what's like the biggest, where do you see this in like 2-3 years? What's like the grander plan for the space when it comes to, one, just bringing an attraction to downtown, but just in general?
Yeah, the goal has always been to develop the infrastructure that's necessary for the Coachella Valley to be like an exporter of music. And music is like an economic driver for an area. When you think about, when you have to choose between two cities, you'd call it like Houston and Salt Lake City. If you're a young couple, the big thing is like, okay, I have two cities, they have all more or less the same amenities. What is there to do in that city? And when people think about what's there to do, one of the top things is always going to be live music, music experiences. Coachella Fest put us on the map. And you've heard the mantra over and over, like, okay, we have Coachella, but then there's nothing for the rest of the year. And so we talk about this venue ladder and the idea that a musician in the Coachella Valley should be able to say, I want to start playing and making money with my skill. They should see a ladder straight from 10 to 25 person coffee room up to a 50 person room, out to a 150 to 200 person room, and that ladder should creep. We have an arena. We've got a 10,000 seat arena, so the artist should see a real clear path to, I've got 10 venues that have 10 seats, I've got 10 venues that have 25, 50, 100, 200, all the way up to I can make money off of this. I can, making it in the industry, I can pack out a 3,000 person room, and we're missing that middle chunk. We're missing like the 75 to 100 person venue up to about the 5 to 800 person cap. Places like in LA, the cool spots that you see that are that everybody's you're going out there for like the Viper Room, and you're going out to play the Whiskey a Go Go and the Glass House, and so that middle tier is what I want, because that attracts so many other things. That brings food vendors that want to be there for those long lines, and that brings DJs, and that brings photographers and videographers who want to shoot the action and develop videos and social media content for that. And so it can be like a hub for all those people to come together. And I when we talked, we said we want to be the hub. When people say, hey, where do I go to figure out how to make money off of my music in the Coachella Valley? Well, hey, go talk to these guys. They're going to help you get on your feet, and they're going to show you where you need to go in order to make it as an artist.
Yeah, and something I do want to add too is just this idea of taking something that you're a part of and doing what you can to elevate it. And it's not about dissing anybody who's already doing it or who was doing it before you, but it's just about getting into something and saying, this could be better. And somebody that really helped us develop that was our friend Joe. He owns a company called XIL Productions. And, he's been in the industry for a long, long time. He helped us with the audio in here and just doing this space for music. And, he's told us over and over again, elevate it. Make an elevated experience, because the truth is, it doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is, rich, poor, whatever. Everybody likes nice things. When they come in and see something, and say, man, like, there was a lot of work put into this, and this place is great, and it sounds great, and it looks great. Doesn't matter who you are. You're going to like that. You're going to appreciate it. And so, we love this community. We enjoy this community. We grew up out here, and we want to be an organization, a business, a group that says, hey, everybody, join us on this journey of, elevating this community, and it's not that we don't appreciate where it came from or where it's at, but, hopefully the goal for everybody is, we want to make things better. And so that's been a goal when it comes to, this space. Hey, in the next couple years, we do want to make sure that the standard is set, like, hey, let's do a great job with what we've been given, and that's one of the biggest goals.
No, creating those spaces is what's needed. It's no one wants to take that risk. No one wants to take a risk to start something new. They want to play it safe, and especially when it comes to Indio and like the negative stigma, like you said, why you open in Indio? It's still there, even though it's changing and we're starting to see the change. We still have to keep going and keep showing up and showing people, like you said, through more shows, more stores, more content. This is not the same place, it's the same community, but now let's celebrate it. Let's all join together and create something better.
It's like the stock market, man. It's like you buy low. I think people don't see the value yet. The value's already there. Like the value's in the community, the people that are here, the musicians. And I feel like we're all buying real low, and because we see it, we're like, no, this is going to take off. You pump a little bit into it, and I think you're right. Like it's
and it's the home of the biggest music festival in the world. Yeah. Everybody knows this place, but we got more than those 3 weeks.
I do appreciate to break the fourth wall here. I appreciate everybody that does show up. When people say, why isn't there live music in the city of Indio? I tell people, because people don't show up to live music events in the city of Indio. And so if you were making hand over fist money, everybody would be opening up music venues, but it's not there yet. And so you guys are helping to cultivate this culture of, hey, we support our friends, we support local artists, we support people from our home, not because they're super famous, but because we chose to spend our money here instead of outside somewhere else. There's people travel to LA to go spend hundreds of dollars to go see shows, and then they don't see their friend down the street from them. And I tell them all the time, if you want to have these cool experiences and these things in your community, don't look out and just wish for it. Go and buy that coffee and support that person and buy that crepe and buy that buy those clothes that have been hand selected and thrifted for you. So no, you guys are really helping us. Like, it's super encouraging. We rolled the dice on this, and we didn't even know who was going to show up tonight. And the fact that we have like a room of people here that are here to support, it's very encouraging for us, because it's hard. You feel like alone a lot of times as a business owner. So it's good to see you guys here.
Well, thank you guys. All right, we're gonna open up a Q&A. So if anybody got any questions?
Sam, do we have a mic? You have a wireless in the back? We'll get you guys a mic, otherwise I can't hear you.
We got city people here as well, so if you guys want to ask anything to city
we'll
people,
point them out.
We'll call them out right now.
They
by
promise
name.
they're not going to hurt you guys. But yeah, Miguel, I don't know if you want to wave.
It's a
Miguel.
safe space.
So yeah, the city has been super gracious in they're paying for all of the drip coffee, tea, and cold brew tonight. And they really do want to hear feedback. If you guys have questions about anything we talked about, or about starting your own business, or not understanding, why your business is running into something, they are here to kind of walk you through those questions. And we want to open up that forum. So if you got questions for us, I think there's a mic going around. If not, just yell at us and we'll hear you. On December 15th, we got another one coming up. But yeah, open mic is going to be like a staple here. We got our start at open mics as a band, as individuals. It's really like the first platform to cut your teeth with new material, new songs. It's a super important platform for people who don't even know if they want to be like, I don't know if I'm an artist, but I want to try something new. I want to get out of my comfort zone. So it's a very vulnerable place. And so yeah, we think that it's going to be like a staple. We want to have the full range of like opportunities we want high-level acts. I would love to have indie acts. I'm like contacting people already that I want here. I'm like, dude, I want Wolfpack out here. I want like all my favorite bands. I want them to be here eventually. But on the flip side, I also want, we work with AMP, the Academy of Music Performance next door, and those are a bunch of teenagers. And I told them, hey, whenever you guys want, we don't care that you're not good or you don't feel that you're good. You're just starting your musical journey. Get over here. So comedians, poets, musicians, songwriters, we definitely want to have that space that people feel like I can go, and that's going to be a cool spot for me to just figure out who I am and what I'm doing with this. Oh, we got a mic. There we go.
Hello? The city, this is for you, and then everybody else up there. Angel, Avenida. Is this going to be a one-time thing, or can other businesses be highlighted like this?
Miguel, you want to?
That's actually really up to Angel. This is his podcast. We, as the city, we just wanted to invite to have this conversation so people can understand what's going on here. The real special thing that's going on that a lot of people don't understand, and what most of you heard at the beginning, every single business here is from a local. It's not any investor from the outside. And that's truly special. That's why we really don't want to talk. Yes, we're here as a resource, but it's really up to the community who has always been here and now are starting to open up their business and say, yes, we can do it. So that's really up to them, to Angel and his group, whether they want to do it. This is a huge success, I think, from what this is doing. And again, it's just really putting the voice back into the community and letting you talk. So if you have anything negative to say it. Feel free. We're not here to be like, okay, no.
Garrity.
And don't be scared. We need to know what are the barriers to starting a business, because that's what we want to do is can you see a barrier? How can we get around that barrier? How can we overcome that? And so, I mean, these guys are living proof from it. So don't ask me, ask these guys the questions. Ask Angel. Angel has to want to do this, right? Or else this will be boring.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do worse than it saying, Angel, I want you to do 10 of these. Here's a contract signed. It's completely up to him. When we decided to do this, we just said, Angel, do you want to do this first and foremost? This is your podcast. It's not ours. We could easily start podcasts on our own, but no one wants to listen to us. They want to listen to Angel. They want to listen to you. Want to listen to your peers, to the people who are living, breathing it every day. And so that's why I will leave that question up to over there. But that's
Angel, answer.
Yeah, so we're gonna be trying to do this. I don't know how often we'll be able to do this, but that's something we're going to talk about. But yeah, we're open to getting more business owners and just other people from the community that want to come and speak and just interact with people. And it's also a good way to network, a good way to know the people behind the storefronts that people are going to be walking in over the next, decade or two. So I think it's a good opportunity for everybody. So yeah, I expect a lot more.
And from our end, I know Little Street Music Hall is the name of the venue, but really we see this place as a community building space that we want to have. You get drowned out in how much space you have, but we're trying to use this as a strength. The vision would be that in a couple of years, this becomes kind of like the local town place, or when stuff needs to be talked about, or when you want to hear from somebody in your community, like this is the place that people can come, and they've got their coffee. You talk about revolutions that happen throughout history, they always start in coffee shops, man. It's like the Revolutionary War, World War I, maybe not, but many of these movements do occur with people just sitting around and they're talking and they're bringing, they have these third spaces. And I feel like during COVID, we lost a lot of third spaces where we could just go and like hang out with other people and be with other people. And so as long as Angel and anybody else wants to come here and do it, like we're open to it. We're not going to be doing music on Mondays and Tuesdays typically anyway, and so we'd love to have these like alternative types of events that are like live podcasts and kind of like cool just open forums and community events and networking stuff. So yeah, as long as you guys want to do it, we're here, and we would love to do more of these. So
again, thank you guys for this. This is super cool. Quick question for you guys: with the Hispanic-based community, how would this concept be presented to them? I'm talking about swap meet, Spanish speaking, all that stuff.
That's a great question, man. And that's something we do talk about. We understand where we're at. We understand that the Spanish-speaking community in the East Valley is very strong. And my brothers and I, we didn't grow up, speaking Spanish in the home, but we do come from a Mexican family. My grandmother is from the Chihuahua area, and she moved here when she was young. She worked for 30 years at JFK as a nurse. And so we have tried to come up with ideas to be inviting to, the whole culture. And we had a really great Mexican, I don't know if I want to call it Mexican folk music, but the group was called Grupo Torre Tres, I think. And it was the first time we had a Spanish music group in here. And it was awesome, man. And to see the crowd just be a little different in terms of, the culture, and see more Spanish speakers in here. They had a blast, and I'm gonna be real. We sold a lot of beer, and it was cool. It was really cool, and so we knew off the bat we want to have those nights where it's like, hey, you know what? These nights are gonna be it's Spanish groups. It's grupos and the conjuntos, and maybe a little bit of Latin jazz and cumbia, and aside from that, just offering to people, that space to say, hey, you may not know it yet, but we will have those opportunities for artists to come in, and present, whether it's painted art or handcrafted art, and just come in and kind of have that, almost like that plaza feel, where you're walking around and you're seeing people's work and you're meeting new people. So those are ideas we toss around, and obviously, we appreciate ideas and feedback from you guys to be like, hey, here's what the community likes, and bring that to us, and that helps us to know what can we do, and yeah, that's one of the goals for sure.
I was speaking to the people from Acrisure Arena. Their 4 highest selling shows, alcohol and everything, was Mexican artists. So just something to think about. I know 19 local grupos here if you need some fucking.
I was gonna say, well, that's a big part of it for us. Is you only know what you know, and so for us, we know music and we know a little bit of coffee, And so the areas that we don't have experience in, it's really incumbent on us to plug into either organizations or kind of substructures or systems that are already in place that kind of are connected to that. And so for us, it's like we got to network with guys like Angel. We got to network with Marcel and like there's entire groups of people that are already working and doing things. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So for us, it's like we went to OLPH and we played at one of their events recently too, and just being there and playing at the event, you just meet the people and you're like, oh cool, you all live here, you're all within a block, and as soon as you start plugging in, they give you the ideas, and so that's going to be it's incumbent on us to stay open to other ideas, but I think finding those communities that are already active and just inviting them in and saying, hey, this space is for you guys. And we're going to trust that you guys know best how to present and represent the cultural elements that you want to, and we're just going to let you guys run with it in the space. So it'll be a little bit of that, and just kind of learning on the fly. So
yeah, and I don't know if this answers your question, but Spanish was my first language. Grew up in a home where both parents spoke broken English. Came here with just a dream. You know what I mean? And so. For a restaurant, we bring that Spanish flavor, but I'm Hispanic. I might not look it, but I'll tell you what, I'm very proud. Nuts.
How was it a year ago, Argentina in the World Cup?
Insane. Crazy. Yeah. It's literally insane, yeah. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm home, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. It's cool. I love being surrounded by my culture, so we'll bring that flavor for sure, We'll mix it up and do things, The cool thing about our product is you could pretty much put anything in one of these crepes, So you'll be seeing some cool weekly specials going on for sure. Yeah.
Mike's hot.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
What's your favorite thing about being in downtown Indio so far?
For the business, I mean, I hope I speak for the four of us owners here at Little Music Hall. I think something we enjoy about being here in downtown or Old Town Indio is that it is on the verge of something new. And so seeing people get excited about that, having people walk through the door, and hearing them literally say the words like, this is so cool. The amount of times we hear something along those lines of, wow, this is cool, this is great, this excites me. I love that. I mean, we're here and we're, a new business, a new vendor that's open. And to be a place where people are walking through the doors and experiencing that with you, you're just starting something very new for yourself, and all of you who have been, first customers walking through it, it's super exciting, I guess. So yeah.
I mean, for me, I just love walking down here, even as is, like just seeing the history, the buildings, the way that they are. Like, I mean, we haven't opened yet, but I'm very attracted to this whole area. Like I said from the beginning, like from day one, I've seen a spark. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not the type to like that perfect cookie cutter. I like a little bit of flavor. I like that little bit of raw. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be in an area where I don't know. I feel comfortable in areas that just they're not perfect.
They're not too corporate.
Yeah. Exactly. I like it. So every time I come, man, I get excited. I see the train pass right there. You can see all the graffiti on the trains and seeing all the art going on out here. I love it. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, and just in the short time that we've been here, I think every single business on the block has come in for coffee or tea at some point, and every single person, like the St. Boniface, Indio florist. We've got the COD people, the dog groomers, jiu-jitsu guys. Roman and Skip are still building their building in Devon, and Yellow Mart. All the employees from Yellow Mart will come over for like their lunch, and so I feel like we've been here 2 months and we already know so many of the people, and I feel like, well, imagine in 3 years when everybody's open and we've been doing cool block parties and events together. You just feel like you can feel that, the community's congealing, like everybody is, there's no ego, there's no, like nobody is too big to feel like, oh, what are you doing on my block, or oh, this is the new business. They just been like, hey, it's great to have you guys, like I finally have some coffee. So it just feels good. It feels really good to be part of that.
Hello. Great coffee, by the way. Thank you.
Local guys.
In regards to, as you guys know, there's also a big hip hop and rap community. Is there any thoughts to maybe having a showcase like that? I don't know if it's already been done, excuse my ignorance, but any thoughts to that?
Yeah, well, so Angel kind of pioneered the rap and hip hop showcase here. So we took a lot of cues, honestly, from Desert Underground, and I think we knew what we wanted to do, and it was so cool to see what Angel was already doing and just bootstrapping it. And so when we met for the first time, I'm like, dude, why are you doing this? He's like, I just love the music community out here, man. I was like, well, are you making any money? He's like, no, man, I'm losing a lot of money. And I was like, dude, awesome. We're also losing a lot of money. Like, let's do this.
The best, bro.
And so absolutely 100%. I think it's one of the communities that they would describe themselves as underrepresented. We know as musicians, it's already hard enough to get a gig when you play like classic rock and yacht rock. And then when you compound that with like a genre that most places don't want to have, you can't just go into any bar or restaurant and be like, hey, I'm going to like bring in a cypher and we're going to have like dancing. And they're like, dude, get out of here. Like, there's nowhere in the Valley, really. Very, very few places. And so that's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to like serve the community, but we have had many people. For us, it's logistics. It's what we know. Like, we know how to do certain things and we don't know how to do others, so we have to do more research and bring in people that like really understand, okay, here's what this is what people are going to expect. Here are the elements you're going to have. Make sure that you have these things in place. And so we're just trying to do our homework on it. But no, we have a lot of friends who are in the community, a lot of rappers that, Razor J, he was out here. We did, actually, Graceland in the house. She kind of had she showcased one of her singles and did brought in a lot of hip hop artists as well. So we want to do more of that. But it takes time to really figure out. We want to do it really well. When we do bring that to the table, we want people to show up and just be so blown away and say, I have to be at the next one. Like, I have to come back. And so to put out a product that's just of the highest quality, that's kind of our goal every single time. But yeah, if you want, like, we have cards in the back. If you've got ideas, please shoot them over to us. And we're just taking all ideas right now and sifting through them. So
Sounds good. And then just another question for the both businesses. Besides or other than showing up, what other ways are best to support you guys? Spreading the word, sharing social media. What are your guys' thoughts to that?
Yeah, word of mouth is everything. Is just sharing, tagging, spreading the word is pretty much everything. I mean, that's how I built my business in a back alley, in a walkway with zero storefront, nothing. It's the worst corner in Palm Springs, period. There's cars flying at like 50 miles per hour. There's no parking anywhere. It's all word of mouth, And so that to me is everything, right? It's just spreading it word of mouth, It's just.
Agreed. I know it sounds cliche, but social media is huge. We probably have 50% of the people that walk through the door, like, I saw you on social, or like my friend shared your caramel macchiato looked really good. And so when you come in, you buy something, take a picture of it and just blast it out. And it takes 30 seconds. That's why we try to put little kitschy stuff so people can take cool pictures. But yeah, it's huge. It's really like the amount that we would have to pay to push that out there with our own money is just like, oh shoot, I just saved $15 because I didn't have to pay Instagram.
Take out a TV ad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and social media is everything, not just for businesses, but it's like everybody here is addicted to the phone. I'm just going to say it. So sharing social media, and if you want to push your business or your music or whatever you want to push, just post. And it doesn't matter if you get likes or not, it's being in people's faces, just keep showing up. Because people, the same way that people come into this building and see that, oh, there's a lot of work, there's nice lights and good ceilings and shit. You gotta do, people notice when you post a lot, when you take time, when you just keep going, because you know it's hard to just be a human in 2023. So just share. It doesn't matter the feedback, just keep going, and people are gonna show up and promote your stuff if you keep going yourself. So.
Thank you. Well, again, thank you guys. And speaking of word of mouth, my girlfriend and I ended up here because my brother recommended this place to us.
Chris,
and,
MVP.
And we never really found ourselves in the downtown India area until you guys opened up, pretty much. And so with word of mouth in mind, I was just thinking of what your guys' favorite business are that aren't your own around the area that you could recommend to us so that we can also check them out and support them as well.
You want to? Right there, Return of the Goods right here in the house. We got Mata right there. You know, Everbloom, those are our people. Go ahead.
So we've been going to a Mexicali Cafe for like 20 years. If you have the experience of like eating and also the whole building shaking is a really cool. It's a really cool experience. A lot of restaurants out here are fantastic. Rincon, you can go to Campanario, you can go like just the food game out here is really
good,
really
man.
strong.
CV barbecue.
Yeah, CV barbecue on the back end. Supreme Caffeine is also tucked back there. There's a couple really cool shops. What I would suggest, and I learned this from previous jobs, is get out on foot and just say like, hey, we're gonna take an hour to just like walk this specific area. It's hard to walk in America sometimes. So like choose different areas of Old Town. But when I started walking and like dedicating myself to walking specific areas, you notice like shops that you wouldn't notice otherwise. But yeah, I would say one of my goals is probably to go visit the History Museum for an extended period of time. I like passed by and I've been in once or twice, but that's probably like top of my list for getting out and really digging into and visiting as well, because I hear a lot of good things about the History Museum as well.
Thank you. And then another question with like something like the Salvation Army that you guys are doing here, and when I was speaking to Vince earlier about like just giving back, I know you guys are talking about giving people opportunities to come here, but can we expect more outreach to the community from both of your companies and to Angel as well, just to continue to give back in that way?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, one of the things that I do for our business is I'm the head of our education department. So we do run music camps for students. I know it sounds weird, but out in Palm Springs Unified, I used to work at an elementary school in Desert Hot Springs. I loved my time there. It was awesome. Really had a piece of my heart for that community build over the course of 3 years. And my old boss, she has a new position now where she oversees the expanded learning, and she said, hey, can you help me provide some music for these kids? And we do really cool stuff with, it's kindergarten through 8th grade, and we're teaching them a little bit of music reading, and they get to put their hands on instruments, and that's one way we're doing it. And that put me in touch with the head of arts at the school district, so we're looking at actually having high school students have their artwork presented in the windows and kind of cycle through each high school, and they'll pick like their top 5 students, and their art will be on display for like a week or 2 weeks or whatever. And so giving not just musicians, but the arts in general, a chance to shine a little bit, and high school kids who are having their work displayed at a business somewhere, and it's like, man, that's really cool, so just opportunities like that. Taking advantage of these opportunities, working with organizations like Salvation Army, just to give to those who are maybe a little less fortunate. And we do have a part of us that has a heart for like giving back, a nonprofit. 3 of us owners all worked for a nonprofit for years, and so we know how important it is to make sure as a business we're giving back to the community, because donations or business resources, and even events like this, where we're not charging $50 a head, for people to come in, but even being able to questions and, hosting community events. We're, all about it. We're open to it, and we'd like to do more of that. Absolutely.
I'm glad you asked. I have 11 years sober, struggle with addiction. And so giving back is everything to me. This community more than I give back to my home, So absolutely, man, I can't wait to get back in this community. Up to my window, I'm gonna take care of them, Nothing was handed to me. I don't come from money. I pushed the damn cart, Everything I have. Drop out here, so you'll be seeing Gabinos giving back, 100%. Yep.
Yeah, we work. Like to dedicate our time. We pushing social media because again, it's awareness. So if an organization is trying to collect more funds, do more fundraisers, they need media. So we've been donating to the animal rescue, the Rancho Galvez equestrian, where they use horses to help kids with PTSD and people who have problems. They use animals as therapy. So we've been helping them as well. So we'll be continuing to work in that aspect. But again, as a community, like we all help each other somehow. We're using our resources for the people that need it,
Thanks for having this space, guys. It's really cool to hear all the experiences that you guys have had leading up to this from both sides. I didn't even know there was a creperie opening, so I'm really excited about it. From what I've heard from both of your guys' experiences is that it's kind of like a, from the ground up, did it ourselves kind of bootstrapped business models from both of you. So I'm wondering, for future business owners who also want to support the community and feel like they are going to have to do kind of the bootstrapping on their own, they don't come from money, have to kind of like figure it out, rely on their communities. What is kind of like a piece of advice that you would give that person?
You can't focus on the whole picture. You have to focus on what's the first step, and then what's the next step, and then what's the next step. If it means, just getting your LLC or your going to the city and pulling that, whatever it is just one step at a time. If you look at everything, it'll be way too overwhelming and it'll just tear you down, So it's just one step at a time. Have a vision board and then just lay it all out and just slowly go. Don't let money be. You could come up with a million excuses of why you can't, but if you just execute just one step at a time and you'll get there. They say what is it? It's like, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. And it's true, in order for you to it doesn't just happen overnight, So it's just step one, what do I gotta do? And then you do that, and then you go, okay, now I gotta do this, and just keep going, and stay consistent, It's easy to just start, and then you fall off, and then it's just burning over there, you're just letting that, you know what I mean? It's just stay consistent with it, keep going, figure it out. You gotta find a way, It's all about just what are my resources, community. I mean, you start just looking around you and saying like, oh, that person knows that person that could, you know what I mean? It's all about that, you know what I mean? So relationships, networking, all that's crucial,
I think it's 100% true. Don't get overwhelmed by the grand picture. If you see kind of the end goal, which is good, but then you get overwhelmed. I think the personal advice that I would give is find somebody who's already doing what you want to do and ask them, hey, can I take you to lunch? I want to pick your brain. And I mean, we kind of bootstrapped this, but not really. So there are a ton of people who gave us insight that we didn't have. So one of our good friends is David Bermudez. He owns a bunch of the La Michoacanas around town. And so we used to go in and we would eat the paletas there, and we became friends at an event. He heard us playing music, and he said, hey, we're having a grand opening for La Michoacana in Cathedral City. Can you come play? And we played for like almost no money. But he was like, thank you guys so much. He gave us a bunch of ice cream. He paid a little bit. And then we started playing all the grand openings. And he started paying us for those. But it was mostly, they didn't earn us a bunch of money, but we became friends. And so over the years, we would just kind of pick his brain, like, what are your thoughts on this? We have an idea. So when we walked through this building, I called him up and I said, hey, I've got this concept. Can I take you out to lunch? He ended up buying me lunch. But the long and short of it is he walked through the building with us. And he has, I mean, they've probably got, 12 or 13 locations at this point. They run Wetzel's Pretzels, La Michoacana. They do, they have a bunch of restaurants. Him and his brothers operate at, they probably do like 15 to 18 enterprises all at the same time. So when he came in, he was miles ahead. He's been doing this, he's working on his, 18th, 19th, 20th project at this point. So he was able to point things out immediately that we didn't see. We were like, oh, we're going to put the bar over here because that's what, he's like, don't put the bar over there. And we're like, well, what if we put it over here? He's like, you're going to have to cut all the way across this entire thing. It's going to add. And so he really helped us like scope and sculpt like the decision making before we even worked on anything. He told us, you need to place this here. Your lines are going to look like this. You need to put this stuff over here. And so then when we went to an architect, we were like, all right, here's where we want the stuff generally, but we go back all the time. David, what do you think? We want to do affogato. What do you think about this? Or David, we're working on a new menu. How do you develop new menu plans? Or David, like, what do you think? And the same thing with all of our inside. We didn't build all of this. We have a friend who knows this, and we said, hey, we help you, you help us. He did all the work basically for free because he likes us. And we said, we'll pay you as we make money. And he said, I like you guys. We've been friends for many years. But it was just a lot of find the people who are doing the thing that you want to do. You would be blown away by how many people are just willing to like give up all of their trade secrets and like all of their, they love the knowledge and it's so like esoteric and unique. It's like, oh, you like this thing too? You want to do this too? Like, check this out. Here's some ideas. And it costs you, buy some sushi, buy a coffee or an ice cream. And as you develop those relationships, you're going to build this network of people around you that have like highly specialized knowledge. Our contractor, the AV guy that we have, the food and bev consultant that we have, our attorney, like these are all people that we just had lunch with. And then they became friends, and then now they consult for free. And he told us, he was like, oh, you need an attorney? He's like, I've got an attorney on retainer. Just whatever you need, you go use him. And so we had a free attorney for like a year. And I was like, this is just the things that you will get out of just sitting down and having lunch with people who are doing what you want to do. It's invaluable.
Yeah, and I think I would say something along those lines of what my brother's talking about. When you're going to make that push or make that jump and say, hey, I want to start a business. I want to start something of my own. Just remember to stay grounded, and be somebody who's treating people with love and respect, because that will be one of the key things in making it. Because when you do struggle, if you're somebody who's constantly loving and respectful towards others and giving, they're going to reach out and they're going to help you. And that's what we experienced was, we're not perfect. We make mistakes, and we've had to apologize to people before, but we tried really hard. Just when we started as a garage band, we're going to go to the venue, treat everybody with respect, treat them with love. If we get hired out for a private party, do your best. And it paid off because people see that. And I mean, I might be getting a little too philosophical here, but you guys know, the world's a tough place right now, and as much as people seem to be drawn to just the chaos, when they do see, something good, it does trigger something in them, and they're like, we need more of that, And so when you're starting off, I think it's all of these things put together, put your head down, just go, just work, and don't look at the end, because you will get there, and form those relationships, and always take an inside look and say, hey, am I still grounded? Am I still doing these things for the right reasons? And I think, Marcel, you put it, in the best way, it's going to happen, It's going to take time, but you'll get there.
Thanks, guys.
Full circle.
Oh man, here you go. He's got a good one.
For the city and for 4 of you. Tamale Festival, back here, downtown India. I want it back. Do you guys want it back?
That'd be awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm down with it. I'm down with it.
How can we get it back?
Yeah.
This year is the last year of an agreement that we have for the current producers of the Tamale Festival, which decided to move it to Miles Park Avenue. This year, we also want it back. I want it back. Not everyone wants it back. If you go down to the corner of Miles and Smyrk, there's a new outdoor theater, which is going to lend itself well for that event. And so that's something that we are considering. We want it back in downtown. It feels more organic. It feels more natural. It feels more like a community event. So that is something that we're looking, but obviously there's a city to run. There's going to be businesses that won't open. So we have to analyze the impacts to those businesses. Like these guys, we know that it'll help them, but at the same time, there's some business owners who might not benefit from it, right? And so you have to consider all of those things before you make a decision like that. So it is something that we're looking into. We most likely will bring it back downtown, but it's not 100% sure.
Miguel, what's the best way if you do want to get involved with the process or give comment, or if you have ideas about it, like whether you're a business owner or just somebody who's like, what's the best way for us to relay those thoughts about the Tamale Festival or about events happening in the city to you?
So you can email outreach@indio.org, and that filters over to Jessica over here in our marketing and communications department. And then what we do is we look at all the responses on it and we hash it out. We really do. We get into a room and we say, what's this? What's this? Okay, how can we answer that? How can we do this? We take feedback. I mean, we're always looking at emails, social media for feedback and how we can improve. Again, nothing is set in stone. Just like how you guys mentioned, we took what we've always done and threw it out the window. Now, what can we bring more? Or what can we do different?
That question kind of sparked something in my mind, just because our band, we played at Palm Springs Village Fest multiple times throughout the years. On Thursday nights, we'd go down there, and that whole section of I think it's Palm Canyon they close it off, and it's all foot traffic, and there's tons of businesses down there. Some of them are open, some of them close at their usual time, but the Village Fest happens. And so, I kind of have that, line of thinking where like, hey, I know it's possible, but at the same time, we do know there's a lot to process about, it does take work to, hey, we got to close off the street maybe and, set things up in a way where it is really hard to make everybody happy. I mean, a lot of us think like, hey, that's a great idea. And then you'll have 2 or 3 people that are like, no, don't do that. And you could steamroll them and just say like, well, we don't care what you say, we're going to do it. But, obviously, the city
it just doesn't work like that.
Right.
It's just not how, But yeah, as far as that, absolutely, man. Bring it back. That's cool.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We're big too on really wanting to work. We've talked with Adam Gilbert, who's going to be opening up a lot of stuff right behind us. The new business owners that are going to be kind of to our True Awakenings. There we go. I need to get the names all. I just call them like Dog Shop and Spa, and we need to get some names down. But I would love to have like walkability. I would love for people, if we can get an open carry policy to where they could like grab a beer here and then like walk down and shop over at your place and listen to music at the stage at the end and come here for like an after party with a DJ or whatever. And maybe that's a Thursday thing that happens, or maybe that's a once a month like art walk or kind of street fair that occurs. I would love for us to like have a community of vendors throughout downtown where we're all like, hey, how can we do this? What can we put together? And then we can advocate as a group or collectively to the city, like, hey, here's what we're thinking. Here's some of the ways that we can mitigate some of those issues. But I would love to have a walkable downtown. I want people to be like flowing back and forth, and people are like, oh, you're going to have music at the other end. I was like, good. I want music in like every single building all the way down. We want to be like, hey, go bring your crepes, bring them in here, listen to the bands. Let's go. When you do your night events, I want people to be like back and forth between your night events and, anything that we've got going on here. So yeah, the more back and forth and kind of feet on the ground in the street, that I'm all for it too. So. Got a hot mic.
Any last questions before we wrap it up? No. Zap?
Cool. Well, I'll just say thank you again for everybody that came. Little Street Music Hall, Gabino's. If you haven't, just walk by, see the work that's being done. All the people on the street, Marcel, the city. Thanks for helping to kind of put this idea. We've still got coffee and tea before you walk out. This is on Miguel for this one, so make sure you go get that stuff. If you have any questions, I know Chris, just feel free to come in too. So if you have any questions of us, one of us is here pretty much every Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Come, business stuff, music stuff, questions about community, doing more of these. Talk to Angel if you want to give a shout out for how to get in touch with you for podcasts. If you're a business that wants to be on the podcast, maybe.
Yeah, so we're gonna be posting the video from today's event, the Angel Podcast, on YouTube. That's my podcast channel. I also have like 20 channels, but so. Yeah, so if you guys want to keep up with, I usually feature locals on the podcast, as well as talk about the music industry, the festivals, and it's all community based, and we're here to start a conversation, whatever you guys want to talk about, and that's what we're here for, as well as music, Desert Underground. Check out Desert Underground. We do concerts and shows with local artists and independent artists. So maybe here one day, maybe. We'll see.
Well, yeah, I appreciate y'all for coming out, and yeah, I can't wait to be here and be a part of this community. Yeah. Cool.
All right. Thank you.